timelines are converging, and the Cape Crusader has to take a seat. Here's your look at McFarlane Toys, DC Multiverse, The Darkseid War, Batman with Mobius Chair. As the Darkseid War rages on, Batman's role in Gotham City and the world alters drastically, and he's forced to accept his new role as the god of knowledge. I'm sure one question you may ask is, why does Batman have the Mobius Chair? One question actually that Batman asked the Mobius Chair was all about the Clown Prince of Crime. In fact, actually, this is a pivotal story because the Mobius Chair is the one that tells Batman that there hasn't been one Joker this whole time, but there in fact has been three, which then leads then to the three Jokers. We're going to kind of answer all those questions, and we're also going to be bringing in some other examples of this mold in a second. But first things first, I also, by the way, would like to thank the folks over at McFarlane Toys that did make this review possible. Back, though, to the tape measure, which I kind of started doing. Up to the very point of his ears, Batman's going to stand at 7 inches in height, working out to be a figure that's 17.5 centimeters tall. If the figure is looking familiar to you, it's because they're mostly boring over the body of this Batman. This happens to be the year 1 release. Yeah, though they have changed some things, though, with the newer release with the Mobius Chair. More specifically, they've changed now the gauntlets, and he has a completely different utility belt. He unfortunately does have one also problem by using the same Batman body. Has very noticeably short arms. Speaking of the Darkseid War and all, let's bring in a caped Darkseid. Now, I do hope, though, at some point before the license runs out, we get a non-caped Darkseid. Now, I know. There's the task force build the Darkseid, but that was cel-shaded. Wasn't really my jam. I do hope, though, again, before the license runs out, we get essentially this figure release again, but without the cape. Not, though, the first figure as well that has had a Mobius Chair. We also did get a Lex Luthor many moons, many years ago, and here's what the figure looks like with that. Magic Storyteller. What does Batman come included with? Well, first of all, the figure does have a display stand. So if you choose that you don't want to have him displayed sitting atop of the chair, you can have him standing on top of the display stand instead. The DC logo done here in silver is just in walking distance, of course, to the peg that can plug into either one, yes, of Batman's boots. Along with that, though, the figure does also come included with a trading card. I love this image of Batman. I know, again, like Batman does change his costume. It's a little bit different from what we're used to seeing, but I do really like the way they've used this artwork. On the side, though, of the card, you can also see it does have McFarlane Collector Edition. It's so much so easier to see it when I've got the studio light shining across it. And, of course, if I get my stupid finger out of the way. Don't say so stupid things about your finger. On the back, though, of the card, what? Real name, though, is Bruce Wayne. It's a very short read. I mean, the further that I get, or closer I get to the camera, you can see there's very little for me to read. And it's, in fact, what I read at the beginning of this review. Let's move the card off to the side. And he does, of course, also come included with a Batarang. The Batarangs still continue to be large and still continue to be thick, but I do like the look of the shape of the Batarang. And this does fit into Batman's hands. He does really only have one gripping hand, which happens to be on this side of the figure's body. Left, if you're looking at it. Right, I guess, if you're, well, right, if you're looking at the opposite way around. That does, like I said, you can take the Batarang and just fit into his hand. I guess, if anything, the hand is contoured in a way that it does fit the Batarang, and it fits it well enough that it does survive the blizzard test. Along with that, though, the figure does also have, just getting a stand here for a second, a couple of hands. Now, apparently, Batman's choosing to have fingerless gloves. Everybody was wearing fingerless gloves. And again, these hands just need to be swapped out. The thing about the hands, though, they really are suitable for if he wants to rest his hands on the arms of the chair. Because if not for that, it kind of looks like Batman has jazz hands. Jazz hands. By the way, though, this figure is also getting a Platinum Edition release, which essentially is going to have the same chair. I think it has the same Batarang and it has the same hands. But then Batman himself is all done in translucent blue. We will be also looking at that figure in an upcoming review. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, though. Some assembly, though, is required for the chair. The Mobius Chair does, in fact, actually come in 2 parts. Wait a minute. Didn't you already put that together at the beginning when the figure is rotating on the rotisserie? Good eye, but I didn't snap it in all the way. So essentially what it is the top of the seat is split in half. And then where the foot stand is, where, of course, Batman's going to be putting his boots, basically what it is there's a snap. I don't know if you can see if I get my stupid finger out of the way. There's a snap on either side. Snap may not be the best word to be using when it comes to plastic, but then those sit inside these little slots right here. I only just barely snapped them in place. So, again, like the Mobius Chairs, for the most part, stays intact, and then you just disassemble it that way. If I want to give it the full college try, even then you can still pull it out. So I guess I really didn't have to worry so much that if the chair was snapped together, would I be able to get it free? The answer to that question is yes. Yes, you can. The chair, though, itself is only really molded from the front. On the back, though, you can see it's very much hollow plastic. It does also have a little spinning disc on the top. Now, it's pegged the way that it is so that it does actually rotate. I don't know if just intentionally or if just it was the way it was assembled. But yeah, you can rotate this if you really want to. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. You don't really have to make the noise either. Do like that they've added some nice silver, nice dry brushing of silver on the arms, the front of this as well. The one issue I really kind of have with the seat, the Batman doesn't really sit all that well in it. Let's just take the Batarang off for right now. Do we want to also swap out his hands? Okay, this also can serve as a tutorial for swapping out hands. Dude, I already know how to swap out hands. I know. Let's just get those hands going. Pop them off on one side. Pull them off on then the other. It's weird, though, to see Batman with with fingerless gloves. But again, essentially what it is Batman's just going to kind of bend his arms like this. You can kind of bend his arms down to his hands down. And then Batman's going to be firmly planted on top of the chair. Now, again, he has double hinges on his knees. I know we're kind of rushing along the articulation point of ended things just yet. Bend the feet, kind of bring his head up. You probably could spend a little bit more time doing this, what I'm doing right now. And then, of course, with the cape is fabric. It can kind of tuck in. But again, like one real issue I kind of have with Batman is he doesn't really stay on his chair all that well. Get his feet firmly planted, bring his head down just a little bit. He sits, I suppose, okay, but he has kind of a bad, notorious feeling that he always kind of feels like he's sliding off his seat. Some of that may be contributed by the fact that they're using more of a smoother material for his cape, but it just kind of seems like Batman doesn't really stay all that well. You can kind of see by the way I'm pushing him in. I suppose they could probably have put also pegs right here, but again, like would anybody really would want to see ugly pegs though on the front sections of the chair? Maybe not. I mean, obviously they're not going to put a peg on the back of that either. But I mean, like for what Batman's doing, I guess he's doing it okay. You might find yourself sort of having to go back and fix him a couple of times because he feels like he does want to slide off the top of the seat. Let's take the chair and put it off to the side. Now, again, the Platinum Edition, I think, is essentially going to be the same Mobius chair. I don't think they're doing really all that much different. The only thing that's really going to be different, though, is Batman. Let's just straighten out his legs. There we go. There we go. Do we want to really change out the hands? The hands, I know, seem a little out of place. We'll keep them in. We'll keep them in for right now. And let's bring in the Year One Batman. Now, to look at the mold, I'm kind of hard-pressed to say, is it the exact same? First glance, though, I would have told you that it's a different head sculpt, but I think, though, the more I'm looking at it, it might not be the fact that the paint is different or the mold is different. I think it's just the paint that makes the mold look different. Because, again, like this had a lot more of the flesh color. This does go with more kind of a darker, grimier color. They've also taken the liberty of adding a little bit of additional stubble on Batman's chin as well. What would you say? Is it the same head sculpt? Kind of looks like it does. Now, it does also have some additional lightning panel lining there on the side. I do actually kind of like this Tron motif that they've gone with here. Batman does have these lines on the sides of his cowl, and it's not just the fact that the lines are there as well, but they've also kind of airbrushed glowing areas around it. So it does look like these are actually glowing. That's really cool. Of course, underneath that, he also has that as well. Even if you don't really like the idea of Batman sitting in his chair, this would really work well for a futuristic Batman, where I guess he's not so much hiding in the shadows. I mean, clearly anybody could be able to spot Batman, at least from his symbol alone. The symbol is, again, very much the same as the Year One Batman. I don't think I'd be hard-pressed to be able to spot the differences other than really just the colors. And then jetting out from the bottom end of the points, you can see he's got some additional lineage there as well. Now, again, where some of the things have been changed with Batman, again, verdict's not really out whether they've actually done a different head or not. You can see it's, well, you know what, let's go like for like. You can see that the gauntlets are different. Unfortunately, again, this guy out of his plastic prison, you can see he has bent the little spikes that he has on his gauntlet. Other than that, short of that, it does seem, though, that Batman has different gauntlets. Yes, speaking also of short, Batman still seems to have very short-looking arms. I don't know why. It doesn't look as short necessarily on this Batman than it did on this one. Different utility belt, too. It's a much more streamlined-looking utility belt, where this one had actual flaps to pockets. This one has less pockets. It sort of looks like they're just sort of cargo sections. Again, the front belt buckle is there different too. I mean, this is a separate piece, so it's easy for them, sure, to go in there and just kind of change the parts they need to change while keeping the majority of the body the exact same. The capes themselves seem to be the same as well. I mean, they're material-wise. They've also added, though, a wire stitched into the seam. So again, you can also manipulate this too. By him also sitting in the chair, unfortunately, it does cause wrinklage on the back of the cape. Doesn't look so bad, though, from the front. And it's a good-sized cape, too. Again, you got wires running in the sides. All in all, it's a good-looking Batman. I never really had problems other than maybe the short arms on the Year One Batman. Using this mold, again, I think was smart on their part. It gives us an all-around looking good-looking Batman. Again, just a little bit different of a color. For Batman's articulation, the head's going to be on a ball joint. So like with the one before, you can move the head up and down. You can also rotate it. I know normally a human being would be able to survive somebody twisting their head all the way around. But with an action figure, you can certainly do that. Back and forth it goes as well. The top of the torso is going to be on a ball joint. The figure's lower abdomen also does the same. The arms rotate all the way around. You can bring those arms out. Now, I did notice, though, on this arm, it's a little on the loose side, but not loose to the point where I feel like it's going to get worse. Maybe it will, depending on how much more I'm doing this. This arm is a much tighter joint. Does have a swivel, though, speaking of joints, in his bicep. Double hinge on his elbow. And again, like those jazz hands. Jazz hands! Also do rotate all the way around with a hinge back and forth. For his legs, they do split out. You can take those and move them forward. The legs, in fact, also move back, too. There's a swivel there at the top of the thigh. Double hinge on the knee. No articulation, like with the original Year One Batman. There's nothing really at all that you can do with his lower boots, other than, this isn't going to necessarily turn. You're just being silly by constantly turning something that doesn't turn in the first place. An ankle pivot, an ankle rocker. Yes, he does, by the way, have tractions on the bottoms of his boots. Like the look of those. And the figure does also have toe articulation as well. Again, I think it's probably just the paint that's throwing things off for me, because, again, I'm looking at the two. I could tell you, though, that they're not the same, but I think I'm probably wrong. They look like they're probably using the same mold, and it's really just the paint that makes this one look so drastically different. Clearly, though, too, like the molding of the plastic is a different color. This guy goes with much more, it's not even really like a black or gray. It's almost seems like it's got a brownish tint to it. But I do like that they've added the little lines of light here that jet out from the Batman bat symbol. Again, he's got like some more little decorative details. He's also got it on his biceps there as well. The fingers' gloves, again, look more in place when you have the figure displayed on the chair. I don't know necessarily if I would just have Batman kind of miming himself on a shelf. I think that looks a little stupid, though. But again, to have the figure displayed on the chair. The one thing, though, about the chairs, I did say earlier, I don't know if it's necessarily just the fact that the chair needed to be deeper. I don't think that's the problem. I think that it's just that Batman has a very smooth material cape that results in then, like, even if you bring the cape as further forward as you can, and then just sort of have Batman sitting on top of the chair, I think you could go really with a really cool look of having the excess of the cape sort of fanning out the sides of Batman's leg. I mean, it looks good. But again, like Batman, sometimes you'll find yourself constantly pushing the figure back on top of his seat. I don't know really, again, if they could have solved the problem by putting pegs there, like where his feet would attach. Like if these were securely attached, maybe Batman still would move forward. But again, like other than that, it's a nice looking figure. And again, like if you have been collecting the Darkseid War, like the Darkseid War Lex Luthor, which again came with the Mobius Chair, you can also have him displayed along with that as well. This Batman does get, like I said, a second release too. He's getting a Platinum Edition. Which one thing that is different about the Platinum Edition that will obviously get more involved when we look at the figure in that his own standalone review is that he also does have an open screaming face. So he isn't going to be using this same mold, nor is he going to be using the Year One Batman mold. The body he is going to be boring over the same. And in fact, it's going to be the exact same body as this one here, but it's going to have a slightly different face, while all the accessories and the chairs seem to remain the same. I think if anyone was to be the god of knowledge, certainly Batman would be a good pick for that. And speaking of picking a good Batman body, I did even think I said in the review of the Year One Batman that I hope, though, that mold be used again. And sure enough, it is. Now, it's obviously he's including, though, the Mobius Chair. There's some additional paint that goes then into Batman, but it isn't just the same carbon copy of the character. Batman now gets himself new tooled gloves, and he also comes with a brand new utility belt. The look of the figure, and I still think it's probably using the same head sculpt, although again, like looking at it, what throws a figure off so easily is just a different paint scheme. Now, if this was just a flat black, like the original Batman had, and it had the same skin tone, it would be easy to look at one and then see the other and think that, yeah, they're using the exact same head. By, though, darkening the skin tone, adding some stubble to his chin, and adding the little lightning lines, it does make almost like for Batman a different head. Now, what's interesting, though, is that the head is more of a black coloring, and I didn't mention that in the review, but his head is a different color than the rest of his body. Batman's majority of his body is kind of more of this brownish black, whereas his head is clearly more of a darker black. One thing I also really like about this figure is, again, he carries over the fabric cape. Now, I've got this guy displayed in probably the way that if I can carefully pick this guy, I just remember where he was sort of situating. But to pick this figure up and put him on the shelf, just like I've got him right now, spinning on the rotisserie, is the way I'm going to have the figure displayed on the shelf. Now, if you want to, yeah, Batman can sit on his seat if he chooses to. The thing about it, though, is, as you saw in this review, he doesn't always stay on the chair. He slides, he shimmies. Again, like I think some of it may have also to do with the kind of fabric that they chose for the cape. But, you know, just to have Batman displayed with a cape fanned out like this is just as cool as he's sitting in Mobius' chair. What do you guys think of this figure? Let me know down below in the comments section. Now, again, we are going to be wrapping up the review for this one, but we will also, in the upcoming video, look at also the Platinum Edition. That's kind of keep a lot of the same things the same, with just a different head sculpt and a different use of blue plastic. A big thank you again to the folks over at McFarlane Toys that did provide this sample of the new McFarlane Collector's Edition Batman with Mobius Chair from the Darkseid War. If you guys did enjoy this video, you can do it a solid and throw it a like. You guys want to stick around for more? So I hope so. It's going to be some more DC Multiverse reviews coming your way, coming in the pipeline, all hopefully that you guys will be checking out. And I hope certainly you guys will be checking out the playlist popping up. Yeah, shamelessly plugging up playlist. At the very end of this video, you can have a good gander at all the other stuff that I've looked at from McFarlane Toys over the years. As always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.